Well, hello, free people of the Rocky Mountain region. My name is Brandon, and welcome to this Free State Colorado interview. Today, I'm joined by Ian Escalante, Executive Director for Rocky Mountain Gun Owners, RMGO. Well, Ian, I hope you are well, and thank you for joining me today.
Well, I'm glad to be here. Wish I was here under different circumstances, but glad to be talking to the free people of the Rocky Mountain region once again.
You know, it's a dark time in Colorado right now. We had Authoritarian Governor Jared Polis sign Senate Bill 3, the worst anti gun law in Colorado history. So, Ian, for those who aren't aware of how bad this bill is, what do they need to know?
Sure. So I think in order for us to have a legitimate discussion about Senate Bill 3 and what the 2025 session has looked like for gun rights, I think we need to talk about the past before we can talk about the present and start to point to the future. Um, for about 15 years now, the gun grabbers have been hell-bent on pretty much abolishing the Second Amendment as we know it in the state of Colorado. We really saw this in the aftermath of the tragedy that happened at the Aurora movie theater back in 2012, 13 years ago. They came right out the gate with magazine ban, campus carry ban. They tried to pass assault weapons legislation and things of that nature. They were successful with banning private sale and forcing people to only buy magazines that are under 15 rounds. So it's very unfortunate, very disappointing. And then after that, they saw that they had a mandate in the state of Colorado to move through it and destroy the freedom and the gun rights that we had in this state. You know, up until 2013, we had better gun laws than the state of Texas and most states in the nation. That was before the big constitutional carry wave. I think we'd only had, I think, Arizona and maybe two other states at that point were fully constitutional carry. So they've really made this state fall so hard. And fortunately, 10 years ago, Rocky Mountain gun owners, along with other organizations, were able to bring some real accountability and recall some very bad senators. Um, Conservatives regained power for a little bit. They at least were able to hold on to the Senate for a couple years. But in 18, when Polis got elected, the Dems have held on to the trifecta ever since, and not just Democrats, radical, anti-gun, Michael Bloomberg-backed Democrats. So they went right for the jugular, red flag gun confiscation, repealing of preemption to let local anti-gun liberal jurisdictions like Boulder regulate firearms even beyond what the state had done, and then waiting periods, age restrictions, and they tried two times the last 2 years to get an assault weapons ban passed. And they went out, they tried in 2023. The version in 2023 actually would have forced you to register or surrender the so-called assault weapon you had in your possession. That bill failed miserably, didn't even get out of committee. Last year, I remember coming on this show a whole host of times to talk about House Bill 1292, the assault weapons ban of 2024. And fortunately, we were able to kill that bill in the Senate. It did make it out of the House by a few votes. And of course, now November happened. The Republicans gained back a little bit of power in the state house, and the Dems said, "Okay, it's now or never. We're really going to go for broke." So this bill started out as a assault weapons ban, but not called an assault weapons ban. Initially, it was sold as a way to close the loophole from the 2013 magazine ban. The loophole being that it's unconstitutional and nobody follows or and the police don't want to enforce it because it's unconstitutional. And the way to close the loophole was ban every semi-auto firearm, rifle, shotgun, some handguns that took detachable magazines. And then when that bill became obvious that that version of the bill couldn't pass, they didn't have the votes in the Senate. They went ahead and they rewrote the bill and they turned it into the morphed, crazy sci-fi experiment of a bill that it is now, which is a double-tiered permit to purchase system. So, in order to buy the most commonly used rifles in America, you have to apply For a firearm safety course eligibility card with your sheriff, you must submit your biometric data. You must get a background check. You have to pay a fee, an undisclosed fee. There's no processing time, and the sheriff isn't obligated to issue you this eligibility card. Well, after you get the eligibility card, then you have to go take a course. After you take the course, you have to pass a test with 90% or better. Then you get your purchase permit. Then you can buy the guns that are now taxed at 6.5%.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, I can't help but think this is turning Coloradans into second-class citizens. You know what I mean? Like all our neighbors across the other states, whether it's Wyoming, Nebraska, Kansas, etc., Utah. I mean, they have these rights. They can go buy these guns, but Colorado is this little island of tyranny where we're treated like second-class citizens thanks to Jared Polis and these anti-gun legislators in the state capitol. I mean, it's absolutely insane. It's disgusting. It just makes me sick to my stomach that these people can infringe on our rights like this. Tell us what we can and can't use to defend our families. And like you said, these are the most common types of guns in America. I mean, I know I remember hearing Taylor Rhodes say there's more AR-15s than there are Ford F-150s out there in society,
True.
you know? So I mean, it's absolutely crazy and it's disheartening. I mean, I've been all over social media. People are really upset. Unfortunately, I keep seeing the posts of I'm leaving Colorado. Colorado's lost this and that. Well, I'm not leaving. I'm staying. I want to
Yeah.
fight. So what can we do, Ian? I mean, like, what's the next steps? What can we do to really try and protect our rights, do what we can? I mean, I know the law doesn't take effect till August 2026. So between now and then, what should we do?
These people cannot be allowed to get away with this. This is by far and away one of the worst gun bills in U.S. history. It's a template that's being used, and it was used in New Mexico. It's being used in Washington right now. Um, States across the nation where Democrats have a foothold, they're pushing replicas of Senate Bill 3. And in the situation where we do get a favorable ruling on Snoop v. Brown, which would strike down assault weapons bans, this is their juggernaut. This is their way around it, they think at least. So
Right.
we cannot allow them to get away with this. We cannot. If we allow them to do this, there is nothing that they won't do. There's nothing to stop them from actually following through with Stephen Woodrow's idea of limiting how many guns each person can own. There is no way of stopping them from expanding this permit to purchase to all firearms the way they are in Washington. There's nothing to stop them from banning these guns outright and making you register what you have and then open the door for gun confiscation. There's nothing stopping them. If we let them get away with this, that's the Colorado we're going to be living in come 2030. And we can't let that happen. So what we need to do right now is everyone who's willing to stay here and stand and fight, because guess what? If you run, they're coming for you next. They're coming for Texas. They're starting to get a foothold in Arizona. Nevada's hanging in the balance. You don't have a whole lot of places you can go and be safe from this. They're coming for you. So we have to stay here. We have to fight. We have to defeat them. We cannot cede the American West to the people who would throw us all in jail, who want to take our kids away for raising them to reject wokeism and the radical transgender ideology. We must fight back. They want us to leave. If we leave, they win. So we must do that. In addition, we need to start organizing and mobilizing for the next election. The only way they're going to get the message is if a bunch of them lose their seats, and we have to make sure that happens. And we also have to make sure that we are not filling these seats with Republicans. We need to be filling these seats with fire-breathing dragons who are going to go to war for the Second Amendment, who aren't going to cave on law enforcement-backed gun control bills, who aren't going to cave anytime they get pressure because they want to be, quote, tough on crime. We need people who are going to stand strong and fight back. And if we don't have that, then we deserve what we get. So we have to make sure we're fighting. In addition, it's time that the Trump administration and Attorney General Pam Bondi actually put her money where her mouth is. So we have launched a petition. We launched that right after the bill was signed into law to urge Attorney General Pam Bondi to use her new Second Amendment task force to actually walk the walk and start investigating the state of Colorado. We had 16 gun control bills filed this session. That's more than the year after Columbine. That's more than 2013, and that's more than the last two legislative sessions combined. We can't let this happen, and it's time. President Trump ran on protecting gun rights. Attorney General Pam Bondi's been doing a lot of posturing on protecting gun rights, and I'm ready to see some action. I'm ready to see them actually step up and follow through on their promises. So we are collecting your petitions. This is not a publicity stunt. This is a real campaign. We're going to pressure her, and I will personally fly to Washington, D.C. and deliver your petitions to the Department of Justice. It's time that they step up. It's time that they get involved. Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, after about an hour after we launched our petition, she came out and made a call for Pam Bondi to start doing investigations. So we need to put the pressure up and we need to make sure this happens, and it needs to happen right now.
Yeah, 100%. I really like what you said about the elections. I think, even though it seems far away, 2026, the time to prepare is now. People got to get involved in their neighborhoods, their precincts, their communities, know what's going on, find other like-minded, pro-freedom, pro-gun individuals in their voting districts so that they can start getting a group of volunteers ready. I mean, the thing that I've learned over these last few years, and I maybe have known it longer than most people, but I think a lot of people in these last few years, you can't rely on a political party to save you. You can't rely on, for a lot of people, they think the Republicans are going to come in and the Republican Party is going to be the one doing all the work. Well, that's not the case necessarily. We have to do it in our own communities.
We do.
Where I'm at, I got other people involved. We went out and door knocked for candidates we liked or we thought were pro liberty, pro freedom, helped, get people elected. And that's important. We have to take that responsibility ourselves in our own community. And, Free State Colorado, myself, I want to be a resource for people out there. So if anybody's interested in doing that, please let me know. I think that's so important. Now, you mentioned earlier the recalls back in 2013. Is that a viable option these days, do you think, or are we better off waiting until 2026?
Really depends. I mean, at this point, all options are on the table. We're considering what we're going to do. There has to be a price that to be paid for brazenly violating 6 million Coloradans' Second Amendment rights, to do it unabashedly. And to Andrew Basenecker more or less said that he doesn't really care whether we think it's constitutional or not, that we're just going to ram it through. And Sullivan said the same thing. So we have to fight. We can't let them get away with this, because this sends a message that if they can do it here, they can do it anywhere.
No, and that's a great point. Colorado is definitely the tip of the spear because, like you said, yeah, it's the battle's not going away, folks. Eventually, you run out of places to run to. You run out of places to escape to. So, if this is your home, if you have connections here, you got to fight where you can win, where you're going to have the most ability to win. So, if this is like I'm born and raised here, my family's here, I got friends here, this is my home. I moved to some other state and then try and fight there. I'm not going to be as effective or as impactful, I don't think. So I think that's so important. Very interesting about reaching out to the federal government because, yeah, I think that's key. We've seen the city, Denver public schools saying they're not going to comply with the president or the executive branch's school policies when it comes to this whole DEI type stuff. We're seeing millions of dollars in Colorado taxpayer money being set up by the state legislature to fight back against Donald Trump and fight back against any of the things they don't like. So we're really seeing this division here between Colorado trying to push back against the rest of the country and become this little island of tyranny. And so yeah, I think it would be really prudent. I think it would be really important for the federal government to come in and say, no, you can't get away with violating these people's rights. And they have to make an example out of Colorado, really, if they want to be able to put the other states in line. Colorado is not as bad as it seems, people. Colorado's not as bad as a lot of these other places out there, whether it's Illinois, New Jersey, California, some of these other places. So there's so much opportunity here, Ian, and I'm really thankful we have Rocky Mountain Gun Owners, RMGO. I'm a proud member. Really encourage people to become members as well, because you guys did a lot to help flip some seats this last election in 2024. And I know you're going to be fighting to do the same thing in 2026, and that is so important.
Absolutely. So if you have not yet, go to rmgo.org/Bondi, Bondi, sign your petition. We're putting the pressure on. It's time. President Trump was given a mandate, and it's time his administration follow through on it.
Awesome. Well, keep us updated. Let us know anything else that's going on. People got to get activated, get organized. Reach out to me, people, if there's anything you want to do to start getting organized in your own communities. That's what I want to do and to be there to help. But any final thoughts, Ian? Anything else people should be aware of? Anything people should know? I mean, anything else?
If we do not make them feel pain for doing what they did to us, they're going to keep doing it. We have to do it. We have to fight back. Our founding fathers would not have stood for this, and neither should we.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you, sir. It was good talking to you. Keep up the fight. We're almost done with the legislative session, and then yeah, still a lot of battles ahead, but we're gonna win this one, folks. The freedom will win in the end. It's just gonna take a minute. So appreciate you, Ian.
Absolutely. Of
Thanks for
course.
your time. Free State Colorado, of course, I'll have all the links for everything that you talked about today. And yeah, best wishes. Hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you.